May only God's truth be spoken. May only God's truth be heard. This past week, as I considered the James reading, I couldn't help but think of Job. In chapter 1, verse 4, we read, Job's sons would take turns preparing feasts in their homes, and they would also invite their 3 sisters to celebrate with them. When these celebrations ended, sometimes after several days, Job would purify his children. He would get up early in the morning and offer a burnt offering for each of them. For Job said to himself, perhaps my children have sinned and have cursed God in their hearts. This was Job's regular practice. I don't know what your experience has been in family life, but I would dare say, having been to many family feasts, that during those feast times, Job was concerned about. Something was up for sure. Something would have cropped up. We know human dynamics, don't we? Family dynamics, conflicts, competitive natures, judgment, resentment, jealousy, challenges of every kind. In Genesis 4:2, we read, when they grew up, Adam and Eve's sons, Abel became a shepherd while Cain cultivated the ground. And when it was time for the harvest, Cain presented some of his crops as a gift to the Lord. Abel also brought a gift, the best of the firstborn lambs from his flock. The Lord accepted Abel and his gift, but he did not accept Cain and his gift. This made Cain very angry, and he looked dejected. Why are you so angry? The Lord asked Cain. Why do you look so dejected? You will be accepted if you do what is right. But if you refuse to do what is right, then watch out. Satan is crouching at the door, eager to control you, but you must subdue it and be its master. One day, Cain suggested to his brother, let's go out into the fields. And while they were in the field, Cain attacked his younger brother, Abel, and killed him. Afterward, the Lord asked Cain, where's your brother? Where's Abel? I don't know, Cain responded. Am I my brother's keeper? But the Lord said, what have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Now you are cursed and banished from the ground which swallowed your brother's blood. What caused Cain to kill his younger brother? What had he done to him? We see this over and over in the scriptures. Siblings at war with one another. We see it in our lives, even in our families, not just with the kids, but also in our marriages, in our relationships. It's even in some churches and in ministries. It's everywhere that people are. In James' reading, we heard, what is causing the quarrels and fights among you? Don't they come from the evil desires at war within you? You want what you don't have, so you scheme and kill to get it. You're jealous of what others have, but you can't get it, so you fight and wage war to take it away from them. James goes on to talk about motives being all wrong. This stuff is complicated, isn't it? I wonder, what robs you of your peace? What robs you of your peace? Many of these things I've described a moment ago, I believe, are symptoms of something deeper. There's a root cause, which we may have lost touch with, but when the sensitive area is touched, challenged, triggered, injured, we are quick to respond. And not usually in a nice, gentle Christian way, or in the way that Jesus has asked us to respond, with forgiveness and love, even loving and blessing our enemy. Have you ever kept a journal? Documenting your hopes, your dreams, your challenges, perhaps even your relational issues? And then you look at that journal 5 years later and you're shocked to find out that you're journaling the exact same things. It seems like you haven't moved an inch. James' letter is addressing the idea that if someone claims to have faith, what he or she is really talking about most of the time is intellectual assent, an agreement with a set of Christian teachings. And this would he considers to be an incomplete faith. Sure, you can believe the teachings, but it's more than that. True faith transforms our conduct as well as our thoughts. If our life remains unchanged, if we're stuck, he's saying we don't truly believe the truths we claim to believe, or we haven't fully embraced them yet. And we know sanctification is a lifelong journey, but I even wonder if there is more to it than that. These past few weeks we've been talking about what may be hindering the blessings that Jesus has promised us. We read in John 14:12-14, Jesus saying, I tell you the truth, anyone who believes in me will do the same works I have done, and even greater works, because I'm going to be with the Father. You can ask for anything in my name, and I will do it, so that the Son can bring glory to the Father. Yes, ask me for anything in my name, and I will do it. I won't ask for a show of hands to see how many here have raised the dead yet, or God worked through them to give sight to the blind. But that's what God is asking us to do, to be vessels of his supernatural power. We've tasted the appetizer of that promise. We have. We've seen some things. We've experienced some things. Praise God. But we haven't eaten the full meal yet. We know this takes the supernatural power of God, and we say, more, Lord, more. And we also know we are not to chase miracles. We are to chase the miracle worker, God. And we watch what he does, what he's doing. It's all relational. You and God, me and God, our relationship with him, it has to be intimate. It has to be like Jesus' intimate relationship with his Father. We have to be close. Jesus came to show us the way, the truth, and the life. He showed us. He showed us how to do it through his own life. But we know there are hindrances standing in the way to our blessing, and we don't know what they are. It's a no-brainer that if we are in outright rebellion or living a sinful life and know it, well, our God is a holy God. He's not going to go near that. He's not going to bless it. But for those of us who are trying, knowing we are sinners and that we fall short of God's glory every day, but we get back up and we try and we try and we try again, that's different. Last week we heard a key. We heard a key that might unlock some understanding. Our words. God tells us in the scriptures that our words bring life or death, blessing or curses. If we're saying it, we're praying it. Our words are powerful, and we're to be careful of our words. But truly our words come from the thoughts of our hearts, the condition of our hearts. I encourage you this week to watch your words. Listen to what you were saying. Are you speaking life? Are you speaking death? Are you speaking blessings? Are you speaking curses? What are you saying? What's coming out of your mouth? It's surprising if we really listen. Okay, I want to take you somewhere else now. John 9:1. As Jesus was walking along, he saw a man who'd been born blind from birth. I just noticed that, born blind from birth. Being born blind, it's from birth. Rabbi, his disciples asked him, why was this man born blind? Was it because of his own sins or his parents' sins? You see, they understood something. They understood something that has been forgotten over the ages. And that is that there are spiritual principles at work even if we can't see them. Jesus responded, it was not because of his sins or his parents' sins. This happened so the power of God could be seen in him. The point I'm making here is there is such a thing as generational sin, generational curses that impacts the lives of those who follow, the generations that follow. And the disciples knew it. It's scriptural. That's why I asked the congregation to read Deuteronomy a few years ago. It's something everyone needs to know, where God has drawn lines in the sand. I love how God works. Joan was telling the children this morning about the laws of God. He has some. If you don't know there are lines in the sand, you're going to step over them in ignorance, to your detriment. As Larry Huck says in his book, God told him, as he tells us in Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge because you have rejected knowledge. I reject you from being my priest. He's talking to Hosea. And since you have forgotten the law of your God, I will also forget your children. There you go. Generational impacts. Jesus did not deny that general curses existed. It just wasn't the case with this man born blind. There is a book that God has drawn me to, and that's the way he does it, and I can't believe it because I've been thinking we're going to be studying that no more. We Are Made for More, Larry Huck's book, Free at Last, and I'm thinking, Lord, usually I'm a facilitator. I'm going to have to really dig into this, and he's put a book right in my hand, and it's from a Jewish psychologist, psychiatrist that wrote a book called It Didn't Start With You. It didn't start with you. He says, I have worked with individuals who have struggled with depression, anxiety, chronic illness, phobias, obsessive thoughts, PTSD, and other debilitating conditions. I have also, and this is me paraphrasing, I would also go so far as to include people who are masking their pain with addictions, alcohol, drugs, pornography, sex, gambling, let's just say addictions, shoes. I'm kidding. He says, many have come to me discouraged and disheartened after years of talk therapy, medication, and other interventions fail to uncover the source of their symptoms and allay their suffering. How many people have you heard of who have been in counseling for 10 years and have not yet been healed? He says, what I've learned from my own experience, training, and clinical practices is that the answer may not lie within our own story, as much as in the stories of our parents, grandparents, and even our great-grandparents. He says the latest scientific research now making headlines also tells us that the effects of trauma can pass from one generation to the next. This bequest is what's known as inherited family trauma, and emerging evidence suggests that it's a very real phenomenon. Pain does not always dissolve on its own or diminish with time. Even if the person who suffered the original trauma has died, even if his or her story lies submerged in years of silence, fragments of life experience, memory, and body sensation can live on, as if reaching out from the past to find resolution in the minds and bodies of those living in the present. This Jewish psychiatrist, psychologist, is talking about spiritual principles to a secular world. So getting back to the conflict and James' reading, there's a lot going on. Our reactions to challenges we encounter in life, in relationships, may only be symptoms of a deeper root cause. We see characteristics in family members that are similar to parents or others in the family chain, and we think, wow, are they ever like so-and-so? Sometimes we say that because we're concerned. Maybe it's a rebellious nature. Maybe it's someone who has trouble telling the truth. Maybe it's someone who thinks the law doesn't apply to them. We fight to maintain equilibrium. We fight to feel safe. We fight to get back at someone who has betrayed or hurt us. We fight to get something we want. We fight to gain control. I wonder, what causes you to lose your peace? What do you want? What do you need? How are you impacted if you feel someone may be standing in the way of that? All families have conflict, and it's very unsettling when it happens. The question we must ask ourselves and God is, what is really, really, really at the root of these conflicts or hindrances? There are things that we'll be looking at in this Free at Last. We were made for more. We'll be looking at root causes and how they may be hindering the blessings that God is wanting to give us. Hindrances can be broken off. Curses can be broken off us. Can be broken off our children, our grandchildren. Blessings can flow, but it has to start somewhere. Lives can be beautifully transformed and healed. It's absolutely amazing to see how God works, how he heals, how he shines light into the darkness of despair and desolation, and how he sets people free. One of the most amazing stories I ever got to hear from someone giving a testimony and a teaching on healing was on inner healing. It was a lady who had been a child in Lebanon in a massive apartment building, who had been crippled. She was absolutely crippled, and discovered through a process like this that she had been sexually abused by one of the tenants in that apartment building as a child. And those repressed memories were killing her, literally. Jesus, in prayer, set her free. Not only is she whole, healthy, she's a magnificent teacher on healing and a testimony. Jesus sets people free. He says in Matthew 11:28, come to me, all you that are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and he is gentle. He is so gentle. And you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Jesus is our great physician, and he holds the answers that we're looking for. The thing is, we have to go to him. We have to seek him, be with him, listen, and be open to receive from him. When we fight, we're scared. We're scared. And it's hard. It's hard when we're in a crisis or we're tied up in knots, because what we tend to do is struggle. And when we struggle, we tighten those knots and we make it worse. If we go to him, Jesus will teach us to understand in new ways, his way. And that's what's key, his way. And we will be able to stand in an eye of a storm, in his perfect shalom peace, in his will, knowing we are safe, knowing we are healed or will be. We have to surrender our life to him. We have to trust him. We have to give it all to him, holding nothing back. If we truly want to learn, if we truly want to be healed, if we truly want to see progress in that journal, how badly do you want it? Do you know they say it'll take a person 20 years before they will go and ask for healing prayer? What makes us stay in the struggle, in the pain? What makes us stay there and not want to move out? How badly do you want it? Not just for you, but for your family. You see, Jesus will use you to heal others, just like he used that incredible lady from Lebanon. Careful, winsome speech and wise, loving words. are the seeds of peace. They're hard to say when we're in conflict without our Lord Jesus' help. God loves peacemakers. Our tests come in the storms. Our tests come in the storms. But those tests are also our greatest learning opportunities when we're yoked to Jesus, and that's the thing. I remember one of the greatest challenges in my life. This is before I was ordained. I was in the process, and Satan was coming at me hard. It was in my marriage, and I had an old lady. I call her my desert mother, my spiritual mother. God put her in my life. He knew I would need her. And I prayed for 3 years with her. One day I said to her, I've had enough. I've had enough, I'm done. And she said, is that you talking? Or is that Jesus? I said, that's me. She said, then get back in the garden. Get back on your knees. I'm so glad God put her in my life. He can do miracles. And he does. If only we will stay on our knees with the Lord in the hardest times that we face. God will take that and he will blow your mind with what he does. When we pray that more than we can ask or imagine, it is true. More than we can ask or imagine, God will do it if we will surrender to his will and push ours aside. Because when he gave us life, he had plans for us. They're his plans. We're his. We are his. And we're put here to be blessed and to bless. And when we get all caught up in stuff, we get in his way. I have a plaque in my study that says, child, you're not following me unless you let me go first. We need to let him go first. We need to trust him with our life and with the lives of our family, but the work starts with us. You know, when we're in conflict, we're judging the other. Starts here. And then see what God will do. When we're yoked to Jesus, we learn from him. Just as he promises. And when you're that close to him, you're going to be blessed. In Jesus' holy and mighty name, we pray, bring it, Lord, more, more, more.